Welcome to the channel, folks. Today I am working on a block wall back there for our property. We originally tore it down when we moved here because it wasn't wide enough to fit our bus through this gated area here. I'll show you the old footprint real quick. So originally the gate came from that post there all the way out to right about here. And so that made it come all the way out into the road here and swing around, and then it curved back into that. So it kind of lined up with this wall here. So if you can see, it would come all the way out like that and then went back. I've already dug out my footer spacing. My double CMU's going here, and then here I'm gonna have the footer for my main post on my gate. We're only gonna have one swing, and it's gonna stop right on this tree here. We didn't want to do doubles because we needed enough space on that side so that when RVs are pulling in, they could kind of swing up into the yard a little bit. But right now I'm just setting up my line for my CMU block, and I'll show you what I'm doing there. As you can see here, I've got my straight line ran across, and I'm about an inch off of the wall. That's where I'm eventually going to set up this block on that side, and I'll just do a double stack like this, and then that'll all get grouted in with rebar. So to save a little bit of money on this project, I'm gonna reuse this original post here. This is 1/4 inch thick, I believe. Might even be 5/16. Super heavy. But what I need to do is bust all of this old cement off of here. Well, there it is. It's still a couple 100 pounds. Whew, catch my breath. But I'm gonna go get our tractor and use it to take it on down there and get it in the gate area. Okay, so the rebar I'm using is actually scrap from the old gate that was here. Had some larger pieces left over from the deck build I did on our property. This isn't my first time stacking block or doing a foundation. However, it is my first time doing a block wall, and I'm reusing a lot of the material that was already here. All of these 80-pound bags of concrete, I decided to buy pre-mixed instead of doing it with a cement mixer like I did for our deck. Got 20 blocks and then 12 bags of already mixed high-strength concrete. Just going to be mixing those in the wheelbarrow right here. Luckily, I've got a water right here that I can just drag the garden hose over from here. This is going to be all my footer space, and I'm going to go ahead and reuse this, drop it in there, and make sure that I've got about 5 feet above ground. So if you look, that's right about where it was before, with the 2 feet below, not even really 2 feet below. Footer is going to fill this whole cavity here, and then the block that I put on top of the foundation is going to serve as an additional foundation for the wall. I don't want the grade to be, I really don't want the block to be too high above the dirt grade, because you can see over here, I don't want it to come way up above the dirt line like it is here. So I've got my level line up, level on there, so that I know I'm running straight across here. I'm about 1/2 inch off of the original block wall. This wall is going to sit right here, so I can put my rebar probably in this corner and this corner, and then this wall will run into that. Not only do I have that line there to let me know how I'm running with that wall over there, that's also going to tell me the starting point for my block, because I do want my block to be low enough below the grade or right at the grade. So I don't want to come up above this, because then I'll have to account for a whole nother 8 inches. So I want to start far enough below this that my first block I can pad it with a little bit of mortar and bring it up to this height if I need to. So originally I wanted to just use the old post the way it was and just pour the concrete and then just set it right into the footer and let it all dry. But it was just really too difficult to manage with its weight. So I just built a form and I'm going to attach it to the top using J-bolts. The top of the board, that is going to be where I pour my concrete up to on this side. I can fudge my mortar as I build it up a little bit more than a half an inch, or I can build the base up here so that whenever I start stacking, I can get my 8-inch height to match that column exactly. So on this side, my footer's going to come up just a tad below grade here. And then my block is going to go on top of that. I'm not really worried about matching this up exactly. I just want my columns to be about the same height all the way across here. So if my finished board is here, this is 10.5 inches off of here. That means I can fudge this here about 2 inches to bring it up to this line, and then I know my 8-inch blocks from there will be even. So this is where I'm at on things. I did not record me mixing all the cement. I ended up using 20 bags of the concrete mix I had, and in addition to the about 9 bags of mix I had here. So I bought a pre-cut piece here, and so then I'm just going to weld my post to that. So then my block, my CMU will go here. For the footer, a basic footer with rebar in it. I had these little 3/8 left over from the gate, and I just cut those down into like basically a J-bolt and then just tied them into the other rebar I had in this footer. So now what I'm going to be doing is taking the block, and I will set that, of course, on all of these little legs I have coming up. And then I will fill in all of these blocks all the way around there, and that'll give me my nice level footprint all the way through here to start putting my Adobe brick up. So let's go ahead and pull let's pull the concrete frame off and see how good it looks. I'm sure I could start setting my block up on this now. I didn't quite get this cleared off perfectly flat, so I'll be coming back with a cement grinder pad and knocking this down a little bit. Hell, I might even be able to do it with a scraper just to make it nice and flat, since it's still not cured 100%. So since the concrete it wasn't cured completely, I've been able to just scrape away with my trowel and level this up pretty nicely. Now, to come back to how I was going to make this column, even with that column when it was finished, as you can see, as I was saying, my finished grade, I wanted that block to be, I wanted my first block to be below that line over there, because that's where my first block starts over there. Right there is my mark for my first 8 inches. So now I'll be able to build this up about a full inch to 1.5 inches, and then that'll get my first course nice and even with the start over there. As I was counting my block, so I know I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But what I did not notice was that they actually cut their final course when they put it in. And so now it looks like I'll be doing the same thing so that mine is nice and level. So, well, that's my bad. you'll almost never get the top perfectly level from corner to corner, and you can kind of correct that with your mortar as you build up. The one thing you want to make sure you do is you want your corners to be dead on and straight. So that's really what I'm trying to do, is make sure that every corner is flat and lined up. Something else you might notice is that, yes, I've stuck a brick in there or a block in there that's used. This is usually what you use for doors and windows. So if you're not installing any doors or windows, just pay attention when you buy them that you get all flat surface sides. I'm not really worried about it because this is going to get stuccoed, so this will get filled in from the Adobe stucco whenever I come back and finish it off. So I've still got quite a bit of mud here, so I'm gonna go ahead and start the foundation block there along my footer. But I just wanted to show you where I ended up here. So again, my idea was to be even with the other one. Stacking block is, if you do it once a year, it's nothing that you're gonna have muscle memory for. As for the top, I'm just looking for something that's pretty even across there. Just looking at it, it's not too bad. So for the challenges that I was facing with trying to get these even from one side to the other, I'm not really too disappointed with that. So I've got my oldest son here helping me out. He's got quite a bit more welding experience than me, and he's gonna be doing the fab work for the post and gate. Well, there it is. And I gotta say, that's a pretty nice cut. Sure, we'll get to it whenever you're ready. Yeah, if you need some welding done. All right, so it's the end of the day and we just got this thing put in place. So really happy with it for a weekend project and just hustling this thing together, mostly him. It turned out awesome. It's really straight. So I do still have to tighten things down, which I haven't finished yet. So in classic fashion, I have skipped forward quite a bit on this project, mainly just because I had quite a few other projects piling up on me. And setting up the cameras is just really tough, but let's just look at where I'm at. So I've got all my blocks stacked. And you can see how high up the block comes down here to keep the Adobe block out of the dirt. This was my first time doing this, and really I just tried to duplicate what they did. I didn't have the right colors for my mortar. From my understanding, they just used this. I just didn't have the patience to clean it, so I just bought pre-mixed once again. When mixing my colors for the wall, I didn't really follow a count of scoops. I just kind of eyeballed it at first. And then I completely changed what kind of mortar I was using towards the top. And then this is my scratch and brown. This is probably what I'm just gonna leave it as. I did redo this one so that it would be similar to this one. But if you look at the other block walls, not only are they pretty beat up, if you look at these, they're not perfectly straight and lined up. And they're even kind of teetering. So that's probably from the settling and things. And of course, we're gonna do some add some gardening and things. Don't have the post yet, so that's going to be in the next video that I have in the future for this build out, but turned out pretty well and I'm happy with it. I'm going to leave it like this, so we'll see you next time.